Chris, great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Your group is suing the Justice Department, trying to do what nobody's been able to do so far, and that's get the documents that President Obama wants to keep secret about ATF's Fast and Furious. Tell us about this lawsuit.
Sure. Well, what we did was we made use of the Open Records Law, which is called the Freedom of Information Act. We do that an awful lot. We're probably the leading litigator in the country on open records litigation or requests like that. We had asked for the records and documents that President Obama invoked executive privilege over, that he's trying to withhold from Congress. You know, Congress has their methods of obtaining records and documents, and we have ours. So, when the president invoked executive privilege over Fast and Furious records, he moved that entire crisis literally into the Oval Office.
Yeah, he really put himself right in the middle of it.
I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, but the result was, in essence, he moved dead bodies in Mexico into the Oval Office. I mean, that is the net result. And, of course, I don't mean that literally, but in the sense that all the decisions, all the back and forth, all the paperwork, all the justifications and the sworn declarations and the various approvals for that operation, he put it in the Oval Office. It's no longer, oh, gee, I didn't understand, or mistakes were made, or so-and-so didn't interpret what I said properly. No. What he's done by invoking executive privilege is take this entire crisis and personalize it. It's in his office now. So because such an extraordinary act was made or was taken, and because of the Attorney General's defiance of Congress, where he's now even been held in contempt, the only way to resolve this issue is to get it in front of a court and let a judge, review the case, the files, make our best arguments, and get it in front of a judge, let him decide, not just rely on Eric Holder and what the president wants.
Mm-hmm. And, I know that your group submitted a Freedom of Information Act request in June that was denied by the Justice Department. Any way they can step in this time now that you're using the courts?
No, in fact, that using the courts, what we've done is the remedy to that. So back months and months ago, we got records about Fast and Furious through FOIA. This latest one, this June one that you mentioned, is really our effort to get to those records that are being withheld under executive privilege. So we're trying to force the issue. We're trying to bring the issue to a head and get it resolved. And since they blew off that June request, we have exhausted all of our other remedies, and now under the law, we're forced to bring our claim to a court. And that is really, that's the thing that Congress can't do. I mean,
yes.
There's merit to holding the Attorney General in contempt, but then when you get done, so what? Now what are you going to do? Well, our answer, our lawsuit, beats that question, so what? Our so what is we're going to go in front of a judge in a courtroom and force them to release the documents.
So when you file a lawsuit like this, will a list of the documents that have been withheld be presented to the judge? I mean, to the court, will he request this or she request this is what I need?
Yes, because at a minimum, the judge is going to say, well, for me to understand what you're arguing about or what you're claiming you either can't or won't release, I at least need to see what the subject matter is. What is it that you're claiming is absolutely beyond being released because of this special privilege? So at some point, even if the judge does it in camera, he's got to have an understanding of what it is that's being argued about.
Yeah, it sure would be interesting, because I would think that alone would sure shine a light on why the administration wants these documents withheld.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way, or I guess there is a way if you think about it. I mean, it's quite damning. So what they're saying is that they ran this operation that the Attorney General lied about under oath and claimed that he wasn't really sure when he was briefed on it, and the days and dates kept slipping and sliding around, and there's a lot of double talk and finger pointing. So if you're going to believe all that, if you accept all that Holder was operating in good faith, that he was trying his very, very best to be as honest and forthcoming as possible, if you believe all that, then you also now have to believe that through all of that process, during that time, under oath when he was being questioned, the President of the United States was being briefed on every one of those things in the Oval Office.
And you got to know, if this president invoked executive privilege, he's trying to save himself, you would think, and also the Attorney General.
Precisely.
I mean, it's gotten that bad. But, when you look at the time frame, you file this lawsuit, how long do you think it will take?
Oh, it's months. This is not, one of the worst things that ever happened was the American public started watching Law and Order on TV.
Yeah, they think it's yesterday.
they think everything happens in 42 minutes plus commercials, right? It doesn't go that fast. This will be at least a couple of months to come to fruition, only because that's how the courts move. They're that slow. It isn't for lack of interest or effort. It's just the fact that you have a criminal, or you have a federal court system with a very lengthy docket, and you get only so many judges and so many hours, and there's a process, there's a procedure to this. This is not something you just make up on the fly. You file your complaint. The government has 20 days to answer. So there's briefs going back and forth. Everybody has their time to both make their claim and then answer it. And then the judge has to have a hole or an opening on their calendar to even have a hearing.
Yeah, so like you said, it's
none of this goes quick.
Yeah,
this is not Law and Order.
We're certainly not talking before the November election, that's for sure, it sounds like.
Well, there'll be a little bit of traction, I think. There'll be a little bit of activity before then.
Any reaction, I would think, no, from the DOJ or the White House on this new lawsuit?
No, they always do no, we can't possibly comment on litigation.
But how about the fact that in the past, I was reading Politico, how the DOJ in the past has said that the records in dispute don't relate directly to the ATF scandal because they deal with how the executive branch responded to some of the fallout from it. Don't you love the way the administration thinks, hey, you know what, that doesn't matter. You don't need to know about that.
Yeah, it's an incredibly arrogant, disconnected, position to take.
And is it really separate from the investigation? No, it's all part of it, don't you think?
Of course.
Yeah.
And it is because they've now made it so, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're the ones that invoked executive privilege. Nobody twisted their arm. They're the ones who now say it's at that level. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways.
No. I'll sure next week the Inspector General is going to testify. He's supposed to testify this week. But, I mean, no really big surprise. You think they're going to come out of that? No smoke and gun? Are you expecting anything?
I don't believe so. Not between now and the election. Everyone is furiously just trying to tread water and maintain the status quo.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at the fact that Congressman Issa has said that the reason for delaying this testimony from Michael Horowitz was because he said, he's getting so much pushback from the department about information in the report that relates to the very documents that the president invoked executive privilege over. And how about the fact that you've got people who are targeted or mentioned in this report getting the chance to look at it, possibly change it, maybe cause editing? I mean, unbelievable. And it's supposed to be independent.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there are IGs out there who are trying to do the right thing, and then there's IGs that become or get placed under enormous political pressure. And I've just got to believe that given the current state of affairs and how it's a scandal all by itself, let alone adding on another layer by asserting executive privilege, but it's so politicized and so potentially volatile, so dangerous to the Attorney General and to the administration that I've just got to believe that there's a lot of pressure being put on various officials, not just the Inspector General, but other officials within the Department of Justice, to just keep their mouths shut. They just want to get past November 6th. That's the biggest thing for them.
And we're lucky that people like you keep pushing this because you don't hear much from the mainstream media.
Thank you. It's so important to us to drive on these things. We never let go. We never drop stuff. I have cases that are 12, 14 years old, and we continue to pursue them because, it is important. It's our mission. It's our goal to let the public know what the government is doing or not doing, and we don't forget, and we don't let stuff drop. We keep going. It takes forever sometimes, but we're very persistent, and we're very dogged in our pursuit of these things.
At the same time, isn't it, though, frustrating? Here we are in election year, and you don't hear anything about these scandals, whether it's this scandal, whether it's Solyndra. I mean, have you ever seen a president get away with this kind of stuff?
Not on this scale. The Clinton administration was essentially a criminal enterprise run out of the White House.
Yeah, I mean on this level. I mean, you're talking about one scandal after another.
Yeah, and the angle on this, though, is that the Clintons always were trying to look for a way to make a buck, These guys are philosophically different. I mean, they are outright card-carrying socialists, and they want to change the United States of America. You know, I got to believe that there are people very close into the president, who want to add another S to USA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, they definitely think they're above the law, and they're trying this time to make sure they are.
And they have a very aggressive political agenda that has to do with changing. You know, they keep talking about having a transformational presidency. They weren't kidding.
No.
Right? That wasn't just a cute term. They wanted to change the nature of the United States.
Yeah, that's a real good point. Well, before I let you go, you got a new book out there, and it's doing darn well.
We do. The Corruption Chronicles, authored by my colleague, President Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. Number 6 on the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list. It traces Judicial Watch's work over the last few years. Actually, starts out really at the end of the Clinton administration, takes it through the Bush administration, and then really makes the context for a very hard-hitting analysis of the Obama administration. And it's a great book. It's a fun read. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's not just a lot of opinion. We back it up with documents. There's documents reproduced in the book so you can see for yourself. So folks should go out and get a hold of the Corruption Chronicles, and I think they'll really enjoy it.